What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cab Show. The 2023 NFL season is right around the corner, about a month and a half away. I cannot wait. I think the NFL season, definitely here in the United States, I think it's the best sport. I really do. I think everyone tunes in on Sundays and Mondays for the NFL. I love it. But first of all, let's start off with the AFC East in the NFL. Let's start with the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers. I think this is huge for the New York Jets. The Jets haven't made the playoffs in about a decade. It's been so long since the Jets have been relevant, and I do think them acquiring Aaron Rodgers, which a lot of people's writing him off. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is washed up. He looks like a meth head, a crack addict. You know, he's like 38, 39 now. He's washed up. No, dude. Aaron Rodgers continues to drop dimes. He reads coverages better than any quarterback right now in the NFL. So as far as I'm concerned, I think Aaron Rodgers is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, even present day right now. I just think, you know, in Green Bay just didn't mesh out the last couple years. I think Aaron Rodgers really didn't want to be in Green Bay ever since they drafted a young quarterback. Aaron Rodgers was kind of like, well, I think I'm on my way out. But I do think him going to the Jets, man, it's great. I mean, last season he had 26 touchdowns, 12 picks, and I think Garrett Wilson, he caught on late. He was a great fantasy football pickup. He had 4 touchdowns last year, 1,103 yards receiving. So Garrett Wilson, another beast. Breece Hall, he's coming back off that ACL injury he had last year, which is big, and I think he'll be ready by week 1. And then you got Sauce Gardner, their star cornerback. He's a lockup, and I do think, man, the Jets could be a problem this year. Even though they are in a tough division, you have to play the Miami Dolphins twice, which is tough, and the Buffalo Bills twice. But, you know, the Patriots, let's be honest here. Ever since the GOAT, Tom Brady, left the New England Patriots, they haven't been relevant since, dude. They just haven't. I mean, let's be honest. You know, Coach Bill Belichick is a great coach, but at the end of the day, players win you the game. You know, players have to make the plays. The coaches can tell you what to do or tell you how to do it. That doesn't mean necessarily they're going to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not trying to discredit Bill Belichick. He's a great, legendary coach, but ever since his boy left, he hasn't done shit. So it's like the Patriots, they're on their downfall. But I'm telling you what, the New York Jets this year, I believe they will make the playoffs. Now, will they make the Super Bowl? That's a long shot. But I do think overall, I do think the Jets will make the playoffs, absolutely, because of Aaron Rodgers, what he brings to this team. It's going to be dynamic. It's going to be awesome. He's bringing that charisma, the swagger with Sauce Gardner. I can't wait. So mark my words, the New York Jets will make the playoffs this year. And then we got the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. Shout out to Josh Allen. Had a really good season last year. 4,283 yards passing, 35 touchdowns, 14 picks. He is on the cover of Madden this year. You know, shout out to Josh Allen. Even though I thought Jalen Hurts probably should have got on, I think he had a little bit better year, but nothing to hang on. Hey, Josh Allen, he's a baller. He's a dog. You know, the Buffalo Bills are a team to be reckoned with, but at the same time, it's like, you know, the Buffalo Bills, they get all this hype around them, but, you know, last year, you know, they lost in the playoffs yet again. They lost to the Bengals. The year before that, they lost to Kansas City, so they've really taken some heartbreaking losses in the playoffs. My thing is, when are the Buffalo Bills going to get over the hump? You know, we do understand that the Buffalo Bills, their organization, has lost 4 Super Bowls in a row back in 1991, 92, 93, and 94. 1991, they lost to the Giants 19-20. That was a heartbreaking loss for the Buffalo Bills. 92, they lost to the Redskins 37-24. No, now they're the Washington Commanders. And then 93 and 94, they lost to Dallas back-to-back years. So the Buffalo Bills, they've dealt with heartbreaks. They understand what losing feels like. So I think just for the Bills this year with Josh Allen, you know, you got Stephon Diggs, who had a great season last year, 11 touchdowns, over 1,400 yards receiving. Von Miller should be ready to go. He was injured last year. So I just think for the Bills right now, you have a lot of hype. You are a great team, but my thing is, can you get over the hump? Can you beat the Kansas City Chiefs or the Cincinnati Bengals in the playoffs when it matters most? Can you guys make a Super Bowl appearance? Can you guys win a Super Bowl? That's my thing with the Buffalo Bills. But as far as I'm concerned right now with the Buffalo Bills, it's just, you know, a lot of talk here. And yes, they do great. They play great regular season games. They do great. But at the end of the day, they lose big games when it matters most. My thing is, when are the Buffalo Bills going to overcome that? Are they going to win a Super Bowl this year? It's a long shot in my book. I just think for Josh Allen, he's got to get a little bit better and become more patient in the pocket. I just feel like he gets really, really just impatient and just wants to run every time. Over time, those hits are going to add up. We look at guys like Cam Newton. He's not in the league right now. Why? Well, because he took big hits. He was able to do that, he thought, but over time, in a period of 10 years, you can't do that if you're a quarterback. You can't take these big hits. So I just think for Josh Allen, you got to become more smarter in the pocket. Have that pocket presence and say, I don't have to rely on my legs every single time here. So I think for Josh Allen, that's huge. But I think the Bills, they will obviously make the playoffs this year. My thing is, can they win a Super Bowl? That's a big question mark. Who knows? But they will make the playoffs this year. And then we got the Miami Dolphins. Tua is back. He was banged up last season. I really am concerned about this because, when I first watched Tua, when he got hurt, his finger started to curl up, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that does not look right. That looks terrible. It looks like when a UFC fighter gets knocked out, like cold, unconscious, and that's the same way Tua was last year, and I was just like, I don't want to see that again. I want Tua to be healthy. He had 25 touchdowns, 8 picks that last year. He does need to stay healthy, though. He does have great weapons. He's got Jalen Waddle, 8 touchdowns, over 1,300 yards receiving. Tyreek Hill, over 1,700 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. And they add in Jalen Ramsey, that great cornerback from the Rams. I think that's huge for the Miami Dolphins, and I hope the Miami Dolphins somehow get Dalvin Cook from Minnesota, since the Minnesota Vikings released Dalvin Cook this offseason. So I think that's just some things the Miami Dolphins should do. Now, as far as talent-wise for the Dolphins, they absolutely should make the playoffs this year. No doubt about it. They have so much talent on offense and defensive end. They're getting better on offensive, defensive line as well. I just think the Miami Dolphins, there's no excuse now. You have Tua, you have Tyreek Hill, Waddle, so many great players, and hopefully Dalvin Cook will be another addition for the Miami Dolphins. I think Miami's going to be a great team, and I will predict that they will make the playoffs this year at some point, right? I think they could get into a wild card, whatever the case may be, but the Miami Dolphins are too talented to miss the playoffs yet again this year. So my prediction for the Miami Dolphins this year, this NFL season, is they will make the playoffs. And then we got the New England Patriots. Like I said, ever since Tom Brady left, the Patriots have been irrelevant. They haven't been good. I mean, Mac Jones, is he really your guy? I think Mac Jones is just another, trash A.J. McCarron that came from Alabama. It's just they don't pan out really great in the NFL. They just don't. Mac Jones, last year, 2,997 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, 11 picks. I mean, it's all right, but I don't see it, man. Hopefully they get Bailey Zappi in there because I've never been a believer of Mac Jones. Even when he was with Alabama, he was just in a good program. He just fit the system well, good tall quarterback, has a decent arm, but really never dealt through adversity. And I just don't see Mac Jones panning out in New England. I don't. I consider Mac Jones a bust, even though, hey, he could turn it around. But, last year, the Patriots' offensive points per game was the fewest since 2000 under Bill Belichick. They average 18 points a game, dude. That's terrible. I mean, dude, Mac Jones, is he really your guy? I think the Patriots, yet again, they're going to miss the playoffs yet again this year. Bye-bye, Bill Belichick. Bye-bye, New England Patriots. The dynasty for you guys, it's over. That's it. It was fun while it lasted. And then we got the AFC South. Let me start with my Indianapolis Colts. We drafted Anthony Richardson, number 4th overall, out of Florida. I think this is a big risk here. Obviously, I've never really seen this guy play. I believe he only started 13 games in college. I hope he's a big play. I hope he's a great pocket passer. We know he can run. We know he can extend plays. A lot of great college quarterbacks can do that. My thing in the NFL is you got to get really comfortable in the pocket. If you're a really successful pocket passer, then you can start to utilize your legs. So hopefully Anthony Richardson, he did sign a 4-year deal, $34 million fully guaranteed. So shout out to Anthony Richardson. Some high hopes for the Indianapolis Colts this year. I just hope the offensive line holds up. Last year, the Colts offensive line was terrible. I mean, the Colts won, 3 or 4 games last year? They got to do better. And it starts with Anthony Richardson and the offensive line. They got to do great. And then linebacker Shaquille Leonard, he's 100% healthy. And I do think that's a huge plus for the Indianapolis Colts and their linebacking core and their defense alone with Shaquille Leonard. He's their it factor on defense. So that's huge for the Indianapolis Colts. And then obviously Jonathan Taylor. I expect him to have a huge season this year. I expect Jonathan Taylor, definitely in fantasy football leagues this year, he'll be a top 5 pick. If Jonathan Taylor's not picked up in the top 5, that is crazy. Jonathan Taylor is a dog. He's a beast, dude. And I think last year didn't have a great season because they relied all on Jonathan Taylor. They had no passing game, so teams could be like, hey, we just need to stop Jonathan Taylor. Let, the trash quarterbacks that the Colts had the past ever since we released Peyton Manning. We've been through them all, dude. Matt Ryan. Just all types of just trash quarterbacks. Phillip Rivers. We thought Andrew Luck was the next coming of Peyton Manning, dude. Like, there's just so much trash. I hope Anthony Richardson's turned this program around. I hope the Indianapolis Colts make the playoffs this year. But let's stick to reality here. The Indianapolis Colts will miss the playoffs this year. I hate to say it. We need more pieces. We need more playmakers on offense and defensive end. I just don't think they have it this year. I would love to see it, though. And it starts with Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson. I hope the Indianapolis Colts take off this year. I just don't see them making the playoffs this year. And then we got the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud, number 2 overall pick at Ohio State. He definitely has a lot of upside, right? But, like I said before, we've seen great college quarterbacks, do great in college. For example, like my man Johnny Manziel, and then just don't pan out in the NFL. It's just quicker. Everybody's faster. Everybody's stronger. Everybody just is better, dude. So I just think for C.J. Stroud, you got to stick to the playbook and stay in that pocket. Don't always have to utilize your legs to bail you out of situations. Utilize your arm to bail you out of situations. That's what I think. And then they got Desmond Ryans, defensive coordinator from the 49ers. That's huge for the Houston Texans and their program. He's a great defensive coach. That is great. I just think, we understand that the Houston Texans, they had the worst offense in the NFL last season. Like, dude, they had the worst defense last year in the season. The teams averaged 379.5 yards allowed per game on the Houston Texans defense. So that it tells you itself that, hey, the Texans were trash. They're getting a great defensive coordinator. Hopefully they turn that program around. But I don't think the Houston Texans will make the playoffs either. I think they're in the same boat as the Indianapolis Colts. They're rebuilding program right now from being sucked the past 10 to 15 years. Like, it's been terrible. It really has. But the Houston Texans, big upside with C.J. Stroud, but I don't see him making the playoffs this year. And then we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence. What a turnaround season from his rookie season to his second season in the league. Coming into this season, I love Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a future superstar. I said that even when he had a bad season his rookie year. And when he finished the season last year, he went 7-2 with 15 touchdowns and only 2 picks, dude. It was insane. And when he came back against the Chargers in the playoffs, that was a crazy game as well. So I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, they got ETN, 1,125 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. They got some dynamic players. I think it starts with the offensive line for the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. I do think the Jacksonville Jaguars, they squeaked into the playoffs last year. They won a playoff game. Obviously they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. But I do think the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence, they will make the playoffs this year. I do believe that they can run deep in the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence has that it factor. He had it at Clemson. Even though he had a bad rookie season in the NFL, he turned it around last year, and I expect his third year in the NFL, he's going to break out. I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, even though a lot of fantasy leagues, they will not select Trevor Lawrence in the top 5 quarterbacks, which I kind of think is silly. Trevor Lawrence, he can run as well, even though he utilizes his arm way more. Pocket presence is way better than a lot of the quarterbacks in the league right now. So for Trevor Lawrence to not go in the top 5 quarterbacks, to me, is crazy. I think Trevor Lawrence is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now, and he's only getting better. In this season, we will find out, hey, Trevor Lawrence is legit. A lot of teams passed up. I'm telling you, like, Trevor Lawrence is that guy. So for the Jacksonville Jaguars to get Trevor Lawrence in the draft, overall number 1, it's great. So I think Trevor Lawrence is that it factor. The Jacksonville Jaguars will be a threat. Definitely in the AFC South, but I'm telling you, they will make the playoffs this year. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. What a season it was last year. And then we got the Tennessee Titans. They're rocking their old uniforms, their classic unis. But, for Derrick Henry, he's a beast. He's a workhorse, over 1,500 yards rushing with 13 touchdowns. Even though the Tennessee Titans don't have a great quarterback, I do believe them drafting Will Levis out of Kentucky could be a spark. I really do. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is that guy. I mean, he's been in Tennessee for years now, and I think if they had a legit quarterback, I do think the Tennessee Titans would run deep in the playoffs. I really do, but I think for the Tennessee Titans, it's going to be a long shot. Teams are going to start to stack the box against Derrick Henry and realize, hey, guys like Will Levis, you beat us. You beat us with your passing game because right now, Derrick Henry is pound for pound the best running back in the NFL. He's a workhorse. He'll run through anybody. He's built like a brick, dude. He's like 6'4", probably like 280, pure muscle, dude. Like, this dude is crazy. Like, Derrick Henry looks like a freaking DN, man. Like, he is that big. So he's scary. But, as far as the whole Tennessee Titans program, I don't see him really making the playoffs this year. I do see him making a splash in the regular season, absolutely. But to run deep in the playoffs, I don't think so. So I think the Tennessee Titans won't make the playoffs this year. And then we got the AFC North. Let's start with the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, Cincinnati Bengals right now, I wouldn't even be mad if you guys were like, hey, we're going to take them to win it all this year. I would not be opposed to that. It starts with Joe Burrow. And I think Joe Burrow right now is becoming the best quarterback in the NFL. 35 touchdowns last year, 12 interceptions. 4,475 yards passing, and all of his key factors, his receivers that Joe Burrow has. For example, Jamar Chase last year balled out, 9 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards receiving. T. Higgins, 7 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards receiving. Joe Mixon, the running back, took a pay cut this offseason to stay in Cincy. So the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be a threat. I could see Cincinnati Bengals only losing 3 games this year in the regular season. That's how good Cincinnati Bengals are going to be. And it starts with Joe B. Shout out to Joe Burrow. He has that it factor. Ever since 2019 when he won the national championship with LSU. Then he goes on and really turns the Cincinnati Bengals program around. So I think the Cincinnati Bengals right now are my favorite to win this Super Bowl, dude. I do. With Joe Mixon taking a pay cut, with Jamar Chase coming back, Joe Burrow, all the tools that they had last year, and they're only getting better. And I do think they could get better defensively as well. But I'm telling you right now, the Cincinnati Bengals are my favorite right now. Shout out to Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. And then we got the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson, is he ready this year? He came in last year, 7 touchdowns, only 5 picks. 1,102 yards passing. It's really been, obviously with Deshaun Watson outside of the football, all that, massage stuff, all that bull crap. I don't know really what happened, but, this year is a make or break year for Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Are you guys going to make the playoffs or not? You have one of the best running backs in the league, Nick Chubb. Shout out to Nick Chubb, another fantasy football running back that should go in the top 5 is Nick Chubb. And then you got Amari Cooper, 9 touchdowns last year, 1,160 yards receiving. And then you got Peoples-Jones, 834 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. And you got Myles Garrett, that great defensive end for the Browns. But I don't see it, man. I don't know what it is with the Cleveland Browns. But they haven't been good in so long. They just haven't, man. They don't have that it factor. I don't know what it is with the Cleveland Browns, but they're not it. I don't see them making the playoffs this year, and I hope Deshaun Watson really comes to play this year. I don't know, man. It's just a long shot right now, but, shout out to Deshaun Watson. Hopefully he can turn his life and hit the program of the Cleveland Browns around. And then we got the Baltimore Ravens. Shout out to Lamar Jackson staying in the Baltimore, signing a 5-year, $260 million contract this offseason. That is huge for the Baltimore Ravens. I cannot believe it. I thought for sure Lamar was going to leave. I really did. But him staying is huge for the Baltimore Ravens, and Coach Harbaugh would have signed. And they signed OBJ this offseason. OBJ, another superstar receiver, used to be. I don't think he's as good as he once was. But this is another key opponent for Lamar here. Lamar needs a good receiver like OBJ. He needs more than that, though. He really does. And then you got a great linebacker in Patrick Queen last year. He had a career high 117 tackles, 5 sacks, and 2 picks. And that defense is only getting better for Baltimore. My thing is, what are you going to do to help Lamar? That's the thing is with Baltimore. What key factors are you going to bring in for Lamar Jackson? And OBJ is one of them, but they need more. They need more for Baltimore. I do think Baltimore Ravens will make the playoffs this year, even though they're in a tough conference, with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Bengals. But I just think overall, man, for the Ravens and Lamar, it's a make or break year. Lamar needs to stay healthy. He needs to pass more in the pocket. He needs to run a lot less, dude. That's what Lamar Jackson needs to do. And I think he's really been working on that this offseason with Coach Harbaugh and saying, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to pass more in the pocket. If some things do end up happening, then you can scramble and utilize your legs and use your legs. But overall, let's not become dependent solely on your legs, Lamar. We need to throw the the ball down the field. So I think the Ravens will make the playoffs this year. Who knows how deep they're going to run, but it starts with Lamar Jackson. And then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett, man, is this going to be a breakout season for Kenny Pickett? Last year, 7 touchdowns, 9 picks. Really a slow start for Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh. He's a Pittsburgh kid, but I do think the Pittsburgh Steelers can be a threat. You know, they got Watt on the end. He had the most sacks last year. Shout out to Watt. Then you got Najee Harris, 7 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards rushing. They added veteran cornerback Patrick Peterson to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is good. And then you got George Pickens, 4 touchdowns, over 800 yards receiving. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they do have talent. But my thing is, with the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, do you believe in Kenny Pickett? That's the thing. Do you guys believe in Kenny Pickett? Are you gonna sold on him? So my thing is, for Kenny Pickett this year in the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is his make or break year. Are you gonna make? Are you gonna break it? Are you guys gonna win 11 games this year and squeak into the playoffs? Or are you guys gonna win 6 or 7 games and miss the playoffs completely? What's it gonna be, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Kenny Pickett? I cannot wait for that to happen. And then we got the AFC West. We got the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions. Shout out to Patrick Mahomes. He's a dog. You know, I thought, Mahomes, man, 2-time Super Bowl champion, over 5,000 yards passing last year, 41 touchdowns and 12 picks. Patrick Mahomes is not a bad pickup either in fantasy. He's a top 5 quarterback. Travis Kelce, 1,338 yards receiving and 12 touchdowns. And then you got Tony with 2 touchdowns, a star receiver who recently did get hurt this preseason. I do think he'll be back come regular season. And then you got Isaiah Poncho, 5 touchdowns, 830 yards rushing. He caught on late, definitely in the Super Bowl. He had a great game as a running back. I just think, Chris Jones, he's a great DN for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's on his last year of his 4-year deal worth $80 million. That's going to be interesting to see what develops there. But I just think for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, they will make the playoffs this year. My thing is, can they repeat? I think it's going to be tough for them to repeat this year. I really do. Every NFL season is different. It's hard to repeat as champions in the NFL. I mean, obviously the Kansas City Chiefs can do it. They absolutely can. But my biggest threat for the Kansas City Chiefs is the Cincinnati Bengals, which, bro, those team right there, that's going to be the deciding factor of who's going to win the Super Bowl. Is it going to be the Cincinnati Bengals or Kansas City Chiefs? Those are the top 2 right now. That's what I believe. But, Patrick Mahomes, you can never count him out. He's a dog, dude. I mean, he's a killer. And I can't wait to see what develops with Mahomes this year. He's going to have another stellar season with Travis Kelce. I cannot wait. Shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs. I do not think they'll repeat, though, this year. I do not. And then we got the LA Chargers. Justin Herbert last year, 25 touchdowns, 10 picks, over 4,700 yards passing. I don't know about the Chargers either. They lost in the playoffs when they were up, killing the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know if I believe in Justin Herbert or not. Haven't really seen much of him. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of inconsistency, I feel like. I don't know. I don't know about the Chargers. I mean, you guys lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you guys had a way better season than the Jacksonville Jaguars, who started off like 2-6. Like, it's crazy. I don't believe in the Chargers. I think they'll miss the playoffs this year. I'm not a firm believer of Justin Herbert. Hopefully you'll prove me wrong. But I don't see the Chargers doing well this year. And then we have the Las Vegas Raiders. They traded Derek Carr. I thought McDaniels, this was a dumb decision. Why would you trade Derek Carr? Derek Carr, was not the weakness there. That's a big loss by the Las Vegas Raiders. Therefore, they will not make the playoffs this year. You guys added Jimmy Garoppolo, dude, who's been injury prone, who's a good backup quarterback to lead you to the Super Bowl. We saw what he did against San Francisco versus Kansas City. He couldn't do it when they were up, in the fourth quarter in that Super Bowl back in 2020. So I just don't see Jimmy G really panning out. I just don't. I mean, he's always hurt. Like, he's just not dependent like that. I mean, he's a good, solid backup quarterback. He's not a superstar, dude. He's not a starter in my book, dude. Trading Derek Carr for Jimmy Garoppolo? What world are we living in? It makes sense why the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be trash, the next couple years, because this is a huge mistake. I don't see it, and I think they're, I just think their weakness right now is their defense and their quarterback. I mean, Josh Jacobs, heck of a running back, 12 touchdowns last year, over 1,600 yards rushing. They'll probably place the franchise tag on Josh Jacobs, which he probably won't like that. But overall, I don't get the Raiders, man. You should have kept Derek Carr. Derek Carr was not the weakness last year. It was the whole coaching staff in the trash defense that the Raiders had last year. It was pathetic, but I think the Raiders will completely miss the playoffs this year by a mile. So that's my theory on them. And then we got the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson, 16 touchdowns, 11 picks last year. Probably his worst season that we've ever seen with Russell Wilson. I mean, it was pathetic, dude. He was throwing a lot of picks in games. It looked like Russell was there just to collect the check that they gave him. It was bad. I don't know why Russell Wilson kind of fell off, but to me, it's just one of them things where it's like Russell Wilson, this is make or break year. If Russell Wilson starts off the first 4 games bad, bench him. That's it. Release Russell Wilson. He's done, dude. He's washed up in my book. If he starts off terrible, it's just like, really? He had a terrible season last year, and we're going to really ride with him this year again? If you're the Denver Broncos, I don't get it, man. I just don't. Hopefully, Sean Payton, the new head coach there, can turn this program around, which I do believe in Sean Payton. He's a great coach. He's won a Super Bowl back in 2009. So I do think with the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson, it relies all on Russell Wilson. What's he going to do this year? Are we going to see a young, hungry Russell Wilson? Are we going to see a Russell Wilson that's already been paid, that's really not hungry anymore, doesn't have ambition, doesn't have the passion for football anymore? Which one are we going to see? That's a huge question mark coming into this NFL season. But as far as I'm concerned with the Denver Broncos, I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year. And then we got the NFC East. Let's start off with the Cowgirls, man. I got to give a shout out to the Cowboys. Every single season when I hear from Cowboy fans is, hey, this is our year this year. This is us. This is our year this year. Really? You know, you're really going to trust Dak Prescott, who's 2-4 in the playoffs as a starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, to lead you to the Super Bowl, to the promised land? I've never been a firm believer of Dak, and people call me Dak hater, whatever the case is. It's just the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, loss to the 49ers. You know, you take so many losses in the playoffs where it's just like, man, this is Dak Prescott is Tony Romo 2.0. You know, he might be a little better than Tony Romo, but he will never make you to the Super Bowl. He will never lead you to the Super Bowl victory. Like, he just won't, dude. My thing is with the Dallas Cowboys, this offseason they should have traded Dak Prescott, got Derek Carr. But, like, seriously, I would take Derek Carr over Dak Prescott. I really would. I'm not a believer in Dak. Dak has so many tools, so much talent around him, yet they still cannot win. I don't get it, dude. They got Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore from Indy. Like, this is crazy. Their defense is going to be stacked this year. Not to mention, shout out to CeeDee Lamb, 1,359 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns last year. I mean, been balling out, even though they did release Zeke, which to me was kind of like a big question mark. Like, why would you release Zeke? That locker room presence, everything that Zeke brings to the table, I just didn't get it. Yes, Tony Pollard had a better season last year, but I just think for the Cowboys this year, it's going to be all on Dak. Yet again, everything's going to rely on Dak Prescott. And do you trust Dak Prescott fully? Even Dallas Cowboy fans, do you guys trust Dak Prescott? That's the question mark. Because right now, 2-4 in the playoffs is not cutting it for me. So the Cowboys, yeah, they might make the playoffs, but it's a story we've already seen before, a movie we've already seen. They're going to lose either the first or the second game of the playoffs, so it doesn't matter. The Cowboys are irrelevant, dude. They're trash. And then we got the New York Giants. Daniel Jones, over 3,200 yards passing last year, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. He is expected to have a huge season this year. You know, I hope so. I really do. And Saquon Barkley, they'll probably put a franchise tag on him. But I think for Saquon Barkley, 10 touchdowns, over 1,300 yards rushing, I do think he's still a top 5 running back in the league. I really do. I think people who want to skip on Saquon Barkley would be silly to do that. Saquon Barkley is an elite running back. He's a top dog. So I think the New York Giants, they did add Waller from the Raiders, the tight end, Darren Waller from the Raiders. That's huge. But I just think overall, the New York Giants, I'm not really sold on Daniel Jones yet. Even though a lot of the experts are saying, hey, Daniel Jones is going to have a breakout season this year. This is his year. The Giants are going to make the playoffs. Blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, my thing is Daniel Jones going to be legit? They will keep Saquon. But my thing is Daniel Jones going to have a breakout season. I don't know. It's going to be hard. But if he does, the Giants will make the playoffs this year. And then we got the Philadelphia Eagles. They lost in the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs. Shout out to Jalen Hurts. Over 3,700 yards passing, 22 touchdowns, and only 6 picks last year. That's why I thought Jalen Hurts should have been on the cover of this year's Mad, dude. Like, that's crazy, dude. He wasn't, dude. Like, insane. But, you know, Jalen Hurts, I feel like a lot of people are just writing him off. I think Jalen Hurts was one of the most improved quarterbacks last year. Like, that from the year before, like, Jalen Hurts has improved so much. Not just on foot, but in the side the pocket, reading coverages, throwing down the field, doing audibles, all that. Jalen Hurts, right now, Definitely a top 5 quarterback, dude. I think he's slept on. People just don't talk about Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I feel like Jalen Hurts is like the Damian Lillard of the NBA. Nobody talks about these guys, but yet they're elite, dude. They're the top notch, dude. Nobody talks about Damian Lillard in the NBA, how he's been the best point guard the past like 5 years. Nobody talks about that. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. Nobody talks about Jalen Hurts last season, how he had a great season last year. Everything was forgot about Jalen Hurts. That's crazy. The Philadelphia Eagles will make the playoffs this year. I mean, they drafted Jalen Carter, the D end out of Georgia. That is huge. He was in some legal trouble, but as far as talent-wise go, Jalen Carter might be one of the best talented guys in the draft this year. Like, dude is a monster, dude. Crazy. But the Eagles, I'm telling you right now, they will make the playoffs. Who knows? It might be a long shot for them to go back to the Super Bowl, but you never know. So the Eagles will definitely be in the playoffs. Shout out to Jalen Hurts. He's going to have another breakout season this year. And then we got the Washington Commanders. They're probably going to be trash yet again. They drafted Sam Howell. I don't know. You know, Terry McLaurin, he star receiver, 5 touchdowns, 1,191 yards receiving. I'm not sold on Washington right now. I think Washington's going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I really do. I think they're going to be trash. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're going to be irrelevant. So the Washington Commanders are going to be trash this year. And then we got the NFC West, the San Francisco 49ers. They're rolling with Brock Purdy, over 1,300 yards passing, 13 touchdowns, 4 picks. I think Brock Purdy caught on late last year. Nobody really heard of this guy until he started to come on the scene. And I do think Brock Purdy's going to be their guy. Why wouldn't he, dude? I mean, you guys have so much talent. You got Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, dude, these guys, and you got Nick Bosa on the defensive end, dude. I mean, they drafted Jamar Brown out of Penn State, the cornerback, man, or safety. He's a beast, dude. Adding to that San Francisco 49ers defense, that's going to be huge. But as far as the offense-wise with Brock Purdy, dude, they're going to be stacked, man. McCaffrey, Deebo, just unfair already, dude. That's a mismatch for anybody. So I think the San Francisco 49ers will run deep this year, and they could be a dark horse to really run to the Super Bowl if Brock Purdy is that guy. If he really is legit like we saw last year, I'm telling you what, the San Francisco 49ers will be a dark horse to win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy, with McCaffrey, with Deebo Samuel, with Nick Bosa. I'm telling you right now, the San Francisco 49ers have the talent to do it, and it starts with Brock Purdy. I can't wait to see the expectations for the San Francisco 49ers. They're my dark horse to win the Super Bowl this year. Yes, to win the Super Bowl. And then we got the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks this year, over 4,200 yards passing. He played his full season since 2013. That's huge for Geno Smith and Pete Carroll. I mean, huge for the Seattle Seahawks. Kenneth Walker stepped on late, over 1,000 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns. DK Metcalf, over 1,000 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. But I do think the Seattle Seahawks drafted the best player in the NFL draft, Devin Witherspoon. This dude is a hard hitter. He's a cornerback. They could even put him at safety if they wanted to. This guy's a ball hawk. I think he's the best defensive guy, best player overall, pound for pound. He plays with tenacity. He plays with hunger. He plays with ambition. So I think Devin Witherspoon, I'm telling you, he's a problem to be reckoned with. I can't wait till he gets in Seattle, see what he does. But I do think Seattle, they have the talent. They have the talent to make the playoffs this year, absolutely. A huge question mark on Seattle. I don't know. I don't know about Geno Smith. I do not know. It's a huge question mark. But it's going to be interesting to see. But it's definitely a question mark going forward for the Seattle Seahawks this year. It's an unknown for me. And then we got the LA Rams, Matt Stafford. Last year, 3-6 in 9 starts till he got hurt. To me, he hurt his spinal cord contusion, spinal cord injury. I just think for Matt Stafford, I do think that you got to have a bounce-back season this year. You guys went from winning the Super Bowl to last year to starting off 3-6. Missing the playoffs, and Matt Stafford was hurt the rest of the season. It sucked. It really did. And then Cooper Kupp got hurt. I do think the healthy Rams, man, they will make the playoffs and run deep. Can they make another Super Bowl run and win another Super Bowl? That's going to be, I don't know. You know, they released Jalen Ramsey. They still got Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald, which I expect to have breakout seasons. I don't know about the Rams. I don't. Is their defense going to be good like it was when they beat the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl? I don't know. Huge question mark for the Rams. I can't wait to see what happens develop there. I hope they make the playoffs, and Cooper Kupp is still a top 5 receiver in the NFL. And then we got the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray recovering from the ACL surgery. He probably won't be back till about midseason, which is kind of unfortunate. He had 14 touchdowns, 7 picks. I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be trash this year. I think they're going to be kind of like the Washington Commanders and just be one of the worst teams in the NFL. So the Arizona Cardinals without Kyler Murray half of the season is going to be devastating. It's going to hurt the Arizona Cardinals. So I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to fall bad. It's going to be terrible. And then we got the NFC North, the Green Bay Packers, life without Aaron Rodgers. They are fully investing on Jordan Love, who just had 195 yards last year and 1 touchdown last season. Obviously didn't play because of Aaron Rodgers, but my thing is Jordan Love going to be that guy? We don't know. His teammates can say this, that he's going to be better than Aaron Rodgers. We could say these things, but at the end of the day, we have to show them. We have to prove it to them. So with Jordan Love, I don't know. I have no clue on Jordan Love. I hope he's a good quarterback. Haven't seen much of him, so I can't tell you that, hey, yeah, the Green Bay Packers are going to make the playoffs this year with Jordan Love. I'd probably tell you no, they're going to miss the playoffs this year without Aaron Rodgers, dude. Like, that's crazy. And then you got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, that duo running back, which is great, but I just think for Green Bay Packers this year, them coming in saying, hey, yeah, we're going to make the playoffs with Jordan Love, that's a long shot, bro. I don't see it happening. I really don't. I don't see it, dude. I think the Green Bay Packers will make the playoffs this year. And then we got the Detroit Lions led by head coach Dan Campbell. He's turned this program around, and I do think the Detroit Lions this year will make the playoffs this year. Mark my words, no cap from Cap. They will make the playoffs this year, and it starts with Jared Goff. 4,438 yards passing last year, 29 touchdowns, just 7 picks. They finished the season 9-8. Since week 9, they went 8-2 to finish the season, dude. So the Detroit Lions were on fire the second half of the season, leading up into this offseason and into this regular season coming up. I can't wait. I think the Detroit Lions are going to be a problem this year. I really do. St. Brown, 1,161 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. Their defense is getting better. I'm telling you what, right now, Detroit Lions, I believe in them. I believe in Dan Campbell. I believe in Jared Goff. I do think they will make the playoffs this year. Just from how they finished the season last year, 8-2. Like, dude, that is crazy. So I think the Detroit Lions will make the playoffs this year. Shout out to the Detroit Lions emerging out of the mud. So shout out to the Lions. And then we got the Minnesota Vikings. I don't understand. They released Dalvin Cook, Patrick Peterson. I don't get it. Why release Dalvin Cook? He had a great season last year, and arguably some games last year, the sole reason why Minnesota Vikings won was because of Dalvin Cook. Like, and you're going to release him? Like, that is crazy, dude. I think any team out there who needs a running back needs to get Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook is a great running back. He's a great running back. I can't believe they let him go. Kirk Cousins over 4,500 yards passing, 29 touchdowns, 14 picks. I will admit, Kirk Cousins is getting better year by year. My thing is he going to win you a Super Bowl, though? I don't know, man. I don't see it. I don't see it. I just don't. He signed a 1-year deal. Justin Jefferson, he'll have another breakout season. I mean, 1,800 yards, over 1,800 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. Brian Foles as their new defensive coordinator, which is huge for the Minnesota Vikings. But I just think for Minnesota, it starts with Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. Them two alone right now. They got to be on the same page just like they were last year. They got to take over games. They got to be able to convert on 3rd and down and long every single time. So, I think for the Minnesota Vikings, it's going to be a rough season, but I do believe that they will make the playoffs this year. With the amount of talent they got, even though they released Dalvin Cook, which didn't make sense, I still believe that the Minnesota Vikings will make the playoffs this year. And then we got the Chicago Bears. I don't think the Bears will make the playoffs this year, even though they did get DJ Moore, the receiver out of Carolina, which is huge. They picked up Chase Claypool for Justin Fields. Over 2,200 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 11 picks last year for Justin Fields. And he also had 1,143 yards rushing and 8 rushing touchdowns. So the skill and talent's there for the Chicago Bears. My thing is, do they have the chemistry? Do they have the flow? Do they have all the rhythm to win a championship, to make the playoffs and run deep? I don't know. I don't believe in the Bears yet this year. I think they'll miss the playoffs. I do think they will win some big games this regular season with Justin Fields and DJ Moore. I just think overall they will miss the playoffs this year. I'm sorry about that, Bear fans. You guys will suck yet again. And I think the worst division in the NFL is the NFC South. And it starts with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think they're really going to be good this year with Desmond Ridder. He's an old Cincinnati quarterback. He had over 700 yards passing with 2 touchdowns. They did draft rookie Bijan Robinson out of Texas. This guy's supposed to be the top running back in this class of 2023. It's going to be interesting to see how he meshes with Ellinger and those guys. I can't wait. And then you got Drake London, 866 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts, 2 touchdowns last year. I think Atlanta's going to be pretty decent this year. I really do. Are they going to make the playoffs? Probably not. I do think they'll make a splash, but I do think the team to make the playoffs this year in the NFC South will be the New Orleans Saints, and that starts with Derek Carr. I think the Las Vegas Raiders releasing Derek Carr was a huge mistake. But the Saints picking him up was huge as well, dude. Over 3,500 yards passing last year, 24 touchdowns, 14 picks. And then you got Michael Thomas, the star receiver, coming back. Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara. These guys, I'm telling you, the Saints will make the playoffs this year, and it starts with Derek Carr and how the organization's going to run through Derek. I think it's going to do great things. So I think the Saints will make the playoffs this year. And then we got the Carolina Panthers drafting the number 1 overall quarterback out of Alabama, Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young's going to be a pretty good quarterback. I really do. Even though a lot of people are saying bust, I think he's kind of like a Drew Brees-esque like quarterback. You know, he is short, but he can read great coverages. He can throw in the pocket. He can scramble out. They got Miles Sanders from Philly. They got Von Bell, the safety. I think it's going to be really a rebuilding year for the Carolina Panthers. They haven't really recovered since Cam Newton left. I don't see the Panthers making the playoffs this year, even though I do expect Bryce Young to have a pretty good season this year. I think Bryce Young's going to do some great things in Carolina, but I just don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. And then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, life without the GOAT, Tom Brady. They got Baker Mayfield, though. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Baker. Over 2,100 yards passing last year, 10 touchdowns, 8 picks. They got Mike Evans coming back with 6 touchdowns, 1,124 yards receiving. So Mike Evans is a dog. Chris Godwin over 1,000 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. I do think Tampa is going to be really good. I just don't see him being great though. I don't see him making the playoffs this year with Baker. Like I said, I think the New Orleans Saints are going to come out of that division with Derek Carr. I think that they're going to come out of their division and go to the playoffs and hopefully run deep. But I just don't see him this year. But I cannot wait for the NFL season. It's right around the corner. I cannot wait. But my dark horse this year is definitely the San Francisco 49ers. I think the 49ers are going to be a problem this year. I think they're going to win or only lose 2 or 3 games this year and run deep in the playoffs because I do believe in Brock Purdy. I think he is a gamer. I really do. I believe in him. And then obviously the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to be right up there. And obviously the Cincinnati Bengals. Those are my top 3 teams right now. And I think for the Bengals, for their sake with Joe Burrow, man, they're going to take off. And like I said before, shout out to Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. They will make the playoffs this year. They're about to take off. I cannot wait for the NFL season. It's the Cloudwood Cap Show. Let's go!